You are 18 years old and you have nothing. Not nothing in the dramatic sense. You have a roof. You have food. You have people who care about you. But financially, on paper, you are starting at zero. No savings, no inheritance, no head start. Just a number on a bank statement that reads $0 and a future that feels less like a path and more like an open field with no visible direction. Everyone around you seems to know something you don't. Your friend's parents bought him a car for graduation. A girl from your class is already talking about the investment account her dad set up when she was 12. You scroll through your phone at night and the world looks like a place where everyone else received a manual you never got. You don't feel sorry for yourself. You just feel behind. And the strange thing about feeling behind at 18 is that you don't actually know what you're behind on. There's no race with a posted schedule. There's no scoreboard. There's just this quiet pressure in your chest that says everyone else started earlier and you are already catching up. You lie in bed and stare at the ceiling and ask yourself a question that has no answer yet. What do you do when you start with nothing? Your first paycheck arrives on a Thursday. You have been working part-time for 6 weeks, early mornings, weekend shifts, the kind of work that leaves your feet sore and your patience thin. The amount is not impressive. After tax, it is less than you expected. You hold the notification on your phone and feel two things simultaneously: pride and the immediate temptation to spend it. You deserve to spend it. That is the honest truth. You earned it. You worked for it. And for a few hours, you let yourself imagine what it would buy. New shoes, a night out, a weekend that doesn't feel like the rest of your routine. Then something stops you. Not discipline exactly. More like a question, what if you kept it? Not forever. Not all of it. Just, what if instead of spending this one paycheck, you held it and waited and saw what happened? You put 60% into a savings account you barely touch. You spend the rest on things you actually need. It is not a revolution. It is not a plan. It is just the first time you decided to delay something immediate for something uncertain. You do not know it yet, but that small hesitation, that pause between earning and spending, is the most important financial decision you will ever make. Not because of the amount, because of the habit. You do it again the next paycheck, and the one after that. Somewhere between your first and third month of saving, you discover that saving alone is slow. You read about investing. You watch videos. You fall into a rabbit hole that takes you from index funds to individual stocks to someone on a forum talking about Bitcoin like it is the most obvious opportunity in history, and everyone who isn't buying right now will regret it forever. You are 19 now. You have a few $100s saved, and for the first time in your life, you have enough to do something with. So you do something with it. You buy Bitcoin at a moment that feels like the beginning of something. The price has been climbing for weeks. Everyone online is confident. You put in more than you planned because the conviction is contagious and you are young and the math looks obvious. Then it drops. Not a little, a lot. In 3 weeks, your investment loses 40% of its value. You watch the number fall every morning like watching a plant you forgot to water. You check it before you sleep. You check it when you wake up. You read forums full of people telling you to hold, and forums full of people telling you it's over, and you have no framework for knowing which voice to trust. You make a mistake that almost every new investor makes. You sell near the bottom. You lock in the loss. You walk away with less than you put in. You feel foolish in the specific way that only comes from making a mistake you were warned about and made anyway. For a few weeks, you tell yourself investing isn't for people like you, that the market is rigged, that the people who win are the people who already had money to lose without it mattering. You almost stop. But something keeps pulling you back to the question you started with. What do you do when you start with nothing? Because nothing is still where you are, and doing nothing is guaranteed to keep you there. You make a decision that feels less like inspiration and more like stubbornness. You are going to be consistent, not brilliant, not lucky, consistent. You set up an automatic transfer every month, a fixed amount into an index fund that tracks the broad market. Not exciting, not a story you can tell at a party. Just a number moving from one account to another on the same date every month, regardless of what the market is doing. The first year is uneventful. The second year has a crash that makes you feel sick. Not because you lose everything, your position is small, but because every instinct tells you to stop, to pause, to wait until things are more certain. You keep transferring. You buy more during the drop without fully understanding that you are doing the right thing. Time passes in the way time passes when you are not watching it closely. You get a better job. You increase the transfer. You read one book about personal finance and it changes less than you expected but confirms more than you realized you already knew. You stop checking your investments daily, then weekly. Then you develop the rare and difficult habit of checking monthly and making no impulsive decisions. You make other mistakes. You spend money on things you regret. You lend money you shouldn't lend. You go through a period where the discipline slips and the automatic transfers feel like obligations you resent. You miss 1 month, then 2. Then you sit down one evening and look at what the consistent months built and feel something between guilt and motivation, and you restart. You are 24 now, then 26. You add Bitcoin back into your strategy, not impulsively this time, not with money you can't afford to hold through a drop. A small fixed percentage, consistent, automatic, no panic. It feels different the second time. Not because the market is different, because you are. The years that pass are not dramatic. There is no single moment where the clouds part. There are just months of small decisions accumulating into something you cannot see while you are making them. You are 28 years old and you open a portfolio statement you have not looked at in 3 months. The number on the screen is not life-changing. It is not the kind of number that goes viral, but it is real, and it is yours. And it came from nothing. From a first paycheck you almost spent entirely. From a loss you almost let define the rest of your approach. From consistency applied across a decade of ordinary months. You do the math. If you had spent every paycheck from 18 to 22 on things you no longer own, you would have nothing. If you had chased every hot investment and sold at every bottom, you would have less than nothing. If you had waited for the perfect moment or the perfect amount or the perfect knowledge before starting, you would still be waiting. Instead, you have this imperfect, unspectacular, genuinely real. You think about the 18-year-old staring at the ceiling. He thought the problem was money. He thought if he just had a head start, a better family, a different beginning, everything would be easier. And maybe it would have been. But easier is not the same as better. The discipline you built from zero became something no inheritance can teach. The patience you developed through losses became something no market tip can replace. You did not win by being smarter. You won by not stopping. Your greatest investment was never the index fund or the Bitcoin or the savings account. It was the decision you made at 18 to take the question seriously, to ask what you could build, to begin anyway. You are still building. The starting point doesn't matter as much as you thought. What matters is that you started.